Welcome to Fishbowl Sports here. I am your host, Chief, and joining me today is Jalen. Jalen, next to the word disappointment in the dictionary, we'd Raging Cajuns football after they suffered a loss against Southern Miss here. Um, my first big thing that jumped off to me was why did we put Walker Howard in the game in a 2 minute drill? Big Dad said in his thing, like, oh, he works very well in a 2 minute drill. Man throws an interception, which led to 3 points for Southern Miss. In my opinion, put in there, put Walker in the game, Walker in the game, because now the medical red shirt isn't available to be used. Period. You lose that whenever you could have had him for another 2 years. Like I said weeks prior. Depends on what Walker wants to do. Now, we had information that this he was out for the season. He was
Yes.
done. He wasn't going to come back. That was what everybody was reporting on the media stuff. He comes back in there, throws four passes, one of his interception, which led to 3 points for Southern Miss. Um, this is not. There's so many injuries here for the Cajuns, and I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I think the problem with this team is the receivers ain't catching balls for their quarterback. It ain't the quarterback. It's just the offensive line up front. Defense is doing a good enough job to get you in the game to win these games. There's nothing wrong with the defense doing here. They just stay on the field too long, and they end up giving up points because A, they're either in bad field position, or two, they just stay on the field for 45, 50 minutes a game or wherever, how long, 35, 40 minutes a game or whatever, and they just end up giving the points because they're wore out by the end of the game. So Jalen, what you think about the game against Southern Miss?
I think throughout the first, I would say throughout the bulk of the first half was great. Defense ended up getting an interception. I think the way the tempo was going, Cajuns led 7-0 throughout most of the game. Southern Miss was able to tie it up in the second, but I think when it got to the end of the second quarter, I think that's when everything started changing. I think even after the interception by Tyree, the Cajuns had momentum, but they didn't after that. It was a missed field goal, which later on led to a field goal by Southern Miss. And we talked about Walker Howard, who we're sitting at the game, Chief, and it's like we're looking at him like that's not lunch. Walker Howard's in there, he throws an interception, it led to another field goal, a long field goal by Southern Miss, and they're up 13-7, and the Cajuns were only able to snatch a field goal in the second half. Yeah, I think overall, I don't think it was the right decision to put Walker. You can't go from saying a guy is out for the year, then he's back at practice, and then he's ready for the game. I mean, maybe he was ready. I'm not saying he wasn't, but I don't think in that situation he should have put Walker Howard in the game. I think Lunt should have stayed in there, and that wouldn't have resulted in a field goal. I think by Southern Miss in a half, and the I don't think the Cajuns could just get anything going on offense, which led defense to be out there most of the time trying to carry. And I think the game plan was great throughout the first half until the end of the second.
It's like it's just a constant like we can't capitalize off turnovers, right? That's one that Southern Miss played bad. Like they're a very beatable football team. Southern Miss is okay. They're very beatable. They gave Cajuns opportunity after opportunity. Also, another thing with the Cajuns in this game is the self-inflicted penalties. We cannot keep doing this stuff like false starts, giving these guys 5 yards and making it harder on your offense to do these kind of things here. Look, I understand but like you can't have silly penalties like that because that's going to kill you every single time you get out there on the field here. You have to have a little bit of discipline in your football team, and I don't see any discipline on this football team right now because you have to have it to not commit these little tic-tac penalties that you got going on there, and that's the problem with this football team right now. Um, we lost a lot of players last year, a lot of like senior heavy team, and that's kind of why I predicted them to be 8-4 this year because I didn't think that they were going to be like I was worried about the receiver room. I mean, they didn't have a lot of people come back here, and injuries affected that room too. But I mean, they're dropping the ball a good bit here. I don't really know our running game isn't there, which we're supposed to have a really good running back, and these guys were supposed to be a really good offensive line, and that's kind of where the strength of the offense was supposed to be. But they're it's not really looking all that great if you're really looking at it that way, because it's like, okay, what are we doing? And like, there's times I'm left there scratching my head. I'm like, I wonder what we're trying to accomplish on offense at times. The play calling isn't that great. Because if it's your bread and butter and it's working, why don't you keep doing it? Like I understand try to keep them off balance, but prove them they can stop it before you change things up here. Look, I know you want to try to go 2 or 3 plays ahead here, but there's times where you don't have like if you don't want to run the ball in that situation, you could throw a quick screen pass here. I think the Cajuns would do very well in a very up-tempo offensively. I think that's what really would help out Lunch. I think Lunch would be very good in a very tempo like situation. Look at what happened with Marshall. When they were up tempo,
Yep.
getting to the line, hiking the ball and stuff, they were able to march down the field and be able to score on Marshall. Now, granted, Marshall and Southern Miss defenses are completely opposites in the conference rankings and stuff, but I think an up tempo style would actually work very well with this team with Lunch here because they're fast paced offense there. So. We'll see what happens with all that there. So what you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, let it proved against Marshall that up the tempo, he's able to go out there and win football games. And I think Lunch is still your starter going forward. I think another thing with Lunch is too though is like he not only I mean he threw an interception too, but another thing is he had two fumbles and one of them he lost. I think when he gets the football, teams definitely expect him to run, so they're going to go up there and get the ball out. So he definitely has to have more ball security. But as you said too, Chief, the run game definitely has to be. The run game cannot be Lunch. Lunch cannot be your run game. I mean, we have Bill Davis and Zylan Perry, the dynamic duo we'll be talking about all year, who they're great players. Um, they just have to definitely just keep that going because lunch definitely can't be your run game and your pass game. They're just not going to
I
win
don't think
football
it's
games.
I don't think it's an indictment on Davis and Perry. I think they're just not getting enough touches in
Yeah,
regards to
I agree. I agree
uh I it's
because
like
I mean
we like
you look at
that
it,
like
lunch.
we said weeks ago on this podcast, if anybody was listening to us, this offense has to flow through your running game to set up your passing game because you want that defense to put 8 or 9 people in the box so you can take your deep shots and your intermediate routes against the back end half of that secondary. And they didn't do it in this game. They tried to make uh Lunch be your sole provider of your running game here. He shouldn't even be in your top 3 numbers of rushes. He needs
Yes,
to
I
let,
mean
let like whenever
look
he
at it.
throws it. Yeah,
19 carries for lunch. That shouldn't. And yeah, Bill Davis 14, Zylan Perry 13. Even Stephen Blanco's been playing well. One carry. I mean,
he
your top three running backs had. Let me do some math there. Lunch just had over half carries in all three of them. Something's wrong with that.
Yeah, so like when the play is breaking down, I think that Lunch could try to scramble and make some yards there. There's time where he's holding the ball too long, waiting for someone to get open, and he's outside the pocket, and there's no one can protect you out there. You either got to make a choice here. If your first or second read is there, not there, whenever you start scrambling out of the pocket, you need to take off and go. The problem with Lunch is he's trying to wait for someone downfield to get open, and that defense is coming fast here. Whenever you hike that ball as a quarterback, you got 3 or 4 seconds to get rid of that football. And you got to keep a little timer in your head. Maybe you're playing like the backyard, right? You're playing what, one Mississippi, two Mississippi, three Mississippi.
Yeah.
You better get rid of that ball. You better get rid of that ball real quick, or they're gonna be coming after you. But I tell you, I that's the problem with Lunch. He's waiting for receivers to get open. And look, it's his first year actually being on the field, being a collegiate quarterback. I think Lunch has the ability to be a good quarterback. I don't think he's like there yet. It's going to take him more time to get better at passing the football because he's holding on the ball waiting for someone to get open. If the receivers ain't open, don't take a sack or even force it into coverage where you're going to get picked off. You need to take off and run with the ball here. And he's really good at running the ball here. And if they have to set a spy on Lunch to make him like see what he's gonna do, that's the way to beat the Cajuns right now. To set a spy on Lunch, and that's it. The defense is the secondary's got the receivers. The receivers are not really doing their job because they're not getting open, and he's having to hold on to the ball, waiting for one of the receivers to get open and get separation out there, which this is arguably supposed to be our fastest group ever in the Desmo era,
I
ever.
agree. I agree.
That that
They've been saying
that
that.
was a quote from the coaching staff themselves. This is the
Yep.
fastest group we've ever had, and I'm not seeing no separation. Look, I understand here. Well, what was the difference here? Is it the route running? Or are they breaking off routes? Or are they able to like maybe juke that defender a little bit better? If they're the fastest one, they should be able to get separation, right? Or maybe their route running isn't good.
Yeah. I mean,
Look,
you can't say it's the fastest group and they're 2-5 on the year and the receivers aren't getting the numbers that we expect. I mean, it just doesn't add up.
but also to defend the receiver a little bit is Walker, there was a guy. I don't remember what receiver it was, but he was in the middle of the field and he was wide open. Walker decided to take that long shot, which led to the interception, which he underthrew the ball. So he had a guy doing a crossing route over the middle of the field. He missed him. He straight up didn't even like look at him. He's like, "I'm going for the home run ball. Let's take the shot right here because we need points for the half." Which like we talked about earlier, led to 3 points for Southern Miss. There's times being like you have a great arm. I think Walker throws a faster football velocity wise than Lunch does, but I don't know if he has the decision making ability to make this stuff work right now. He's still probably not 100% healthy anyway. I don't see how he is honestly, and I think it was a fool's gold situation too. Look, at this point here, you burned that medical red shirt basically here. I think it's burned. At that point, you're gonna have to start Walker, I think. I don't think you
You
have a
put
choice.
I think you put Walker in a bad position because Lunch was playing well and you put Walker in with two like a couple minutes before the half, he throws the interception. You're kind of killing his momentum and he's just getting back from injury.
Also, not only that, like I say, if you had two quarterbacks, you ain't got none. We went through three quarterbacks this year, basically. The problem with putting Walker in there as well is you're telling Lunch, I don't believe you should be leading this football team by
Yes,
taking him out of the 2 minute element.
that's true.
Exactly what I don't have no confidence in you leading this football team down the field to score a touchdown. No matter how you want to slice that, no matter how you say that to anybody, if I'm your quarterback, I'm going to be a little bit upset with you. Lunch on this one because I just think that was a terrible decision to make. It isn't fair to Lunch because he won you a game against Marshall. You don't win that game if Bill stays in that game against Marshall. Walker hasn't done enough at UL to be, just get basically be given in that position a spot there. Now, if it was someone like let's say if Levi Lewis would have got hurt like that and he had some like, previous season cred, yeah, put him back in there starting quarterback whenever he comes back because he's obviously the best quarterback on your staff, right? Levi Lewis, Terrence Broadway, and those guys that have built up really good will throughout the year with their playmaking ability in that situation. But you can't just take someone that's quarterback. That's exactly what Walker Howard is. He's a first year starting quarterback. That's all there is to it. And that's just facts and that's just stats the way that's going to go right there because he's only played 3 quarters of a game against um against Rice. So that's the problem that you're going to have here. There's there's 3 games. I mean, 3 quarters. He played 3 quarters, like well, 4 quarters of starting quarterback. He hasn't even played a full game yet, technically. Lunch has more experience than Walker Howard does in regards to being a starting quarterback. So I think that Walker can be a mobile quarterback too. I think they need to rein it in a little bit here, but it's gonna be a lot to kind of see what's gonna happen here because I don't really know what the Cajuns are gonna do next here. I think at some point this season Walker is gonna be your starting quarterback again because I don't think Dez has a chance. Like I think this is I feel like this game is a pivotal moment in this era for Desmo and his coaching. I feel like the Southern Miss game, we're gonna look back at that game and be like, that's the one that really defined his era here. Look,
Yeah.
I think if you look at the whole grand scheme of things with the championship appearance last year and how badly we got embarrassed in that game here, and
Because they got
and
embarrassed.
yeah, and then you look at what's happening afterward here. It's kind of still crazy to me. Like I don't think I was kind of against the extension of Dez a little bit here, just because I was like, I want to see a little bit more out of him. I wanted to see how this year went because look, he would have he's gonna have a losing season this year. We're not going to a bowl game this year. There's no way that I could see the Cajuns getting up to 6 wins with this schedule here. They're gonna have to go on a run. They're going to rapidly improve on offense. I think defense is there, but you're also never as bad as you think you are. But that offense is gonna have to go through something. That offense has to get better somehow, some way. Um,
I just don't think that's fair to Lunch after everything he's done in the last couple of games. Yes, has there been a couple losses? Yes, but like you said, if you don't put Lunch in that game against Marshall, you lose that game against Marshall, and then guess what? You're what 1-5 at that point. So I think rushing and Walker Howard is not the best is not the decision to make. I really do. I
I
don't
don't,
think this.
and this is nothing against Walker. There's nothing against Walker on Fishbowl. I'm just
Yeah, nothing
spitting
against
it
him,
how
but
it
he's just
should be
coming back from
spitting.
injury.
He needed to rest some more. Like when he had some good zip on the ball, but I would have definitely waited. I would have just let him sit out the rest of the year, and then we can revisit this next year because like, is he your guy next year? If Lunch is as good as we think Lunch is, and he plays like he did against Marshall, Cases will get bowl eligibility against Lunch. If he shows off at like 40% of what he showed against Marshall, Cajuns get bowl eligibility with that way that defense is playing in the full game. Because look what he did against Marshall. Now, granted, Marshall had a terrible defense. I think this season, the way it's going right now and the way the injuries are piling up, it's almost a lost season for the Cajuns at this point here. Because you're gonna have to there's so many wins in a row that the Cajuns have to get, and they haven't proven that at all here. They had an experienced team last season, though. Like they were like if they had a below average year, Dez might be showing his walking papers after this season. If he doesn't get to the Sun Belt Championship and they had the same results like they have in this year, last season, he's gone. There's no extension. There's nothing. He's gone. Um, but yeah, like I'm just looking at this from my perspective and the way it is, and it's not a good one. I don't see how this ends well for Dez. But the good thing for Dez is he did sign an extension for him that he's going to have a couple of more years at the helm of the Raging Cajuns here. But that buyout's too much for the Cajuns to afford to buy him out. So people are trying to say like, oh yeah, we need to get rid of Dez and stuff. You're not going to be able to get rid of him because the buyout's too much, especially with UL being in debt as much as they are. Um, don't think you can get rid of one until you get a president hired anyway. Someone that's going to replace Dr. Savoy in that position there. So looking ahead to this game this weekend, I'm not looking forward to it. Going against Troy, I don't see the Cajuns winning this game. I think they'll put 8 or 9 in the box, force the Cajuns to throw the ball, and I don't think it's gonna be enough here because I just don't think that we might even see the possibility of Walker actually enter the game because Des did mention bringing Walker back into the game a couple of times here, which he's gonna have to now because he showed his cards instead of just holding him back. The amount of injuries you got, and you're trying to rush people back from there, I don't think it's a really good sign here. I think you can give Walker another like he hasn't even been like a Raging Cajun for a full year yet. You're just trying to throw him out there. Maybe they might know something we don't know. He might like look, I'm gonna go 1 year at UL and then I'm gonna transfer out. Maybe that was the agreement in the beginning, which is a very possible thing. Like let me just give y'all 1 great year, then I'll dip. Because remember, going into the season, like Jalen, you even said on here yourself that you thought the team was a 10-2 team.
Yeah, I did.
Now we're sitting here talking about this.
I really did. I had no idea the season was gonna go like this
And I like
because they have a great team. They do. I really do believe in this team.
think there's enough talent on this team. I think there's enough talent. I just don't think it's being used properly. I think it's coming down to play calling. There's guys that are open and they're not being like shown the ball. I think the offensive line, I think they're just so injury ridden right now that I don't think you're really going to get a good grasp. But it was lackluster at the beginning of the season, um, where you got to wonder if Walker was even the guy that was supposed to be out there anyway. Um, Receivers dropped balls in that first game for Walker. So Walker wasn't really the problem in that first game. It was more along the lines of receivers dropping balls. That receiver room, like if that is your problem, then you got to start 7 guys in. You might just you're not gonna nail every single starter. Impossible. There's gonna be some guys back up there that's gonna probably be better than your starters. Especially in the way in this day and age of college football and the transfer portal. Look, I'm kind of wondering about this too, Jalen, too as well, Jalen. I think we might be able to see this come. I think coaching salaries are gonna. If I was an AD, especially in the G6 level, and I'm getting NIL money, or even maybe if it was in Power 4, maybe Power 2, whatever you want to call it, I'm not giving as much money to the head coach. And you're probably wondering, Chief, what you talking about? Because I think schools now can actually pay the players directly, can't they, Jalen?
Definitely have to look more research on that. But if that is the case, that definitely changes everything, especially when it comes to conferences like the Sun Belt.
I know the Cajuns like to give NIL money to people that stay here, but I think that could be a thing like the next cut like a year or so. Like I said, I think that's a thing now. And if that is the case here, why are we giving salaries? Shouldn't it go more to the NIL fund and you use that as like your player salary compared to the NFL head coaches? That kind of thing. And there would be no need to go sign 10-year agreements with coaches because like these huge contracts that they're signing. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. But yeah, I got the Cajuns. Let's pick this game here between the Cajuns and Troy. I, I was unfortunately right against Southern Miss. I know you were right as well. I got them losing again this week. I think that this team is too injury ridden for them to come back. And the only team I see them beating the rest of the schedule might be South Alabama, which they got in the beginning part of November. They might beat ULM. But I'm really grabbing at straws trying to figure out who they're going to actually beat the rest of this schedule here because I just do not feel good at this at all. So that's why we're going to have a third person pick with us, the computer. Let's see where it thinks everything's going to last at this year. Okay, it did not improve much, but it's giving them one more win. It's getting them a third win, and it's against ULM. I
So
can
not
see
even
them
not
beating
even not even a win against South Al.
Not even a win against South Al. They have lived in South Al 26-28. A lot of these games are one score games. Like Texas State's a 28-30 win. Um, it's got ULM finishing 3-4. Arkansas State finishing 3-4. Troy finishing. Oh no, it didn't update them. Okay, that's the records they got now. Anyway, I got Troy winning this one this weekend. They're going to be on the road. Cajuns don't play well on the road. What you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I think Troy is going to win this one. Troy is right up there with Southern Miss, one of the top teams in the not only Sun Belt West, but the Sun Belt in general. Cajuns are 0-3 on the road so far this year. They've lost two straight. I hate to make it three, but I think Troy is just it's just the overall better team. They're playing better.
Yep. I they might be South Island, they might be UOM. I think we're gonna have a 4-8 season this year, and this is gonna be the worst season of the Desmo era. I mean, he was 6-7 his first 2 years. Now 4-8. It's I'm not looking forward to next year. We're gonna have to recruit very well, and we're gonna have to build this thing back up. But I think the defense is good. I think this is a very good defensive team. But the offense is really the big Achilles heel with this team here, and that's the problem. Um, we're gonna be out there, but it's just kind of like, okay, um, when do we start thinking about this, right? Like, because I think the Cater stuck with that till at least probably 27 or 28, depending on who wants to pull the trigger and drop all the money right there. But I think that's the thing here. He's got time to turn it around for sure. But he's going to have to figure something out. Like he needs to have. I think that this is for Dad's sake. I think he needs to have at least an 8 or 9 win season next year to not be on the hot seat entering 27. Because if you don't have an 8-9 win season, I think we need to have a discussion about moving on as head coach of the Raging Cajuns. What do you think, Jalen?
Yeah, it gets to a point where, like you said, the 6-7 records to begin. And I mean, when you think about last season, the way it ended wasn't great in the Sun Belt Championship game, and then you come back this year and now you're 2-5. I mean, yes, it started to raise questions about okay, when the first thing we got to look at is our leadership, and I think going to this season it was a different kind of season. You know, new quarterbacks, but when you bring Walker and Lunch back next year, and if this record is similar or worse, yes, I think it's time to reevaluate.
Yep. All right, let's pick some Sun Belt games here. South Alabama taking on Georgia State on Thursday here. So, who you got winning in that one, Jalen?
So, is it crazy? I want to go with South Al, but I think I definitely know better. But hey, they both are trying to get their second win on the year. I'm gonna go with the home team. I'll go with Georgia State in this one.
I think I'll agree with you. I think the home team does get the win here. I think Georgia State will be able to do that here. App State taking on Old Dominion here. I have Old Dominion winning this one, Jalen. What you think?
Yeah, I think Old Dominion is gonna take this one.
ULM taking on Southern Miss. I have Southern Miss. I think they'll go. They'll defend the Rock and be able to pick up the win. Who you got, Jalen?
Yeah, and also have Southern missing this one. They're definitely playing great.
All right, Georgia Southern taking on Arkansas State here. Uh, Both these teams are not like the best here, but I think Arkansas State's going to get the win at home. What do you think, Jalen?
Yeah, they're both not playing well. But I'm gonna go with the home team also. I'm gonna go with Arkansas State.
And this is crazy. I think we picked all home teams actually on this one. Yeah, we did.
Oh, yeah, absolutely did.
Every, all the home teams are winning. All the road teams are going to lose here because we picked Louisiana and Troy already. I got Troy winning. You have Troy winning as well. It's just not. I, I, I wish I was a little bit more optimistic about it here this week, but you got to be realistic with people, and I just don't think they're going to have it. Uh, this week here. So we'll see what happens here. Hopefully that the Cajuns can turn their season around. But I think the injuries just piled up too much here, and I just think it's gonna hurt them too much here. So that's just the way it is. You've got to look at all this stuff and see what happens here. So thank y'all for tuning into this episode here of Fishbowl Sports. Uh, Walmart Creator storefront. That's what we have here. So if you want some Raging Cajun gear or any other gear that you want, like tailgating gear, we have that on there. If you want like a Christmas gift, a whole lot easier. And hey, sign up for our Walmart Plus membership. They got some good benefits there for you to sign up there whenever you go. Get your supplies or groceries or whatever you want here. Also check out our Team Hunter link here. We're gonna start posting all that stuff a little bit more on our socials. So keep all your tabs on that stuff here. We got all kind of good stuff coming up here on Fishbowl Sports. Anything you want to say, Jalen?
Uh, man, I just want to say overall, go I want the Cajuns to come back in football, but I'm definitely excited for basketball season.
Yeah. If you hadn't checked that out, we have a preview episode up. So thank you for tuning in. Have a great, wonderful night, and we're gonna see y'all all here next time on Fishbowl Sports. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation. Welcome to Fishbowl Sports here. I'm joined today with Jalen. We're going to be doing Louisiana Raging Cajun men's and women's basketball. They have released their preseason polls and how everybody thinks they're going to win and vote and that kind of all that good stuff there. So we're going to go through the schedules of both these teams and see how they line up, see how the Cajuns get, new players in, got a fresh start with a new head coach, Quantus White. Um, Jalen, what you think about this 2025-2026 program under Coach White as the Raging Cajuns take the court?
Well, Chief, first of all, I'm definitely excited. Bob Marlin did great things for the program, but I think this change will be good. And bringing in Quantus White is definitely something that I feel like it was time. And he's bringing in a lot of good talent with him, mixed in with some young players on the Cajuns team from last year. So I'm excited to see how this team is going to come together. And if these guys can gel together, they will definitely make some noises here in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, so they did release like the preseason polls here for this very thing here. So uh Quantus was talking about like how he was excited and he wants to pack 12K into the Cajun Dome. It's going to be one of the, and he brought in a lot of caliber players, like highly recruited players, being a lot of four-star players, which I never thought we would see for men's basketball team. Like it hasn't really been like this since the talent of like maybe like a 2000 run or a 2004, 2005 when the Cajuns made the NCAA tournament back then here. So I do want to kind of give y'all a little bit of context what I think is going to happen here. Here's what I think. If this team gels together, like I think they will. They seem very much a part of the community. They're walking the tailgate grounds. I did not see that for a lot of years under Bob Marlin. They're more connected, like as a team. Like hey, come see us play. Coach White, Coach Quantus is very much about the community of Lafayette. He's pretty much immersed himself into Lafayette and the culture there, which is something you haven't seen a lot from the Raging Cajun men's basketball team. And I think it's interesting. And I think he knows that the people are the main driver bus of his program. And I do think that he is trying to connect with the community of Lafayette where there's like, the attendance was poor last season. Coach Marlin has done a lot of great things with the program. He's brought us, a long level of time, a long time of like, just being stable. Brought us to a couple NCAA tournaments. Brought us to two, I think. Yeah, 2014 and probably should have won 2017, 2018, and then back in 2023 we had our second one under him. But they're all first round exits. They didn't get into the second round or anything like that here. I think for a program like UL, like across all sports, You need to hire someone that is a what note on note is a climber. You need someone that's gonna be willing to climb to get to the top. Whereas that would come in there. That's what, Napier was. You don't want a coach to stay here at UL for 10, 15 years. I'm not saying every coach that does that is gonna be terrible, but usually the bigger programs you want them to come poach them. You don't want them to stay here 10, 15 years. I think that's kind of what the adage of Dr. Magger's been trying to do, like when hiring Coach Dez and like ones that have a lot of like connection to the UL program, like their homegrown talent, which is nice and everything. I support all of them and I hope they do well. But you want a climber. You want someone that's not going to be just kind of willing to sit here and just collect a paycheck, basically. So that's why you need to get these Power Five, Power Four, Power Five, bigger program like basketball, like getting an assistant from Kentucky, Houston, like Coach Quantas White was. You want these guys to be able to climb and get the program here. And then here's my hot take for today. Here's my big hot take. I'm going to shock everybody when I say it. Cajuns win the Sun Belt this year.
Oh, that's
I think the
spicy.
Cajuns. I think the Cajuns are going to win the regular season and the Sun Belt Conference championship game, tournament championship. I will be on record in saying that here. I think there's enough talent there, and I think they'll gel there. But there's something different. Just the air of whenever he walks into a room is different. They're them ones that kind of walk the walk and talk the talk, and then practices. I've got people that have been telling me the practices have been more intense than ever before. And you know what? In the last 15, 20 years, and the Sun Belt's wide open this year. James Madison might have been tapped to win the Sun Belt men's basketball tournament thing there, but yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how all that's going to break down, but I don't think James Madison wins it this year. I think the Cajuns do. I think his first year is going to take us to the top because it's such wide open. The Sun Belt is a terrible basketball conference. He's going to sit right in there and drive the thing to the top. I think so basically, you know how we were all excited for football season? We were just wrong about the whole entire thing. We were excited for the wrong sport. We should have been excited more about the basketball season starting more than the football season starting. When I look at this roster, and there's a lot to digest with them, I'm kind of curious to see what the predictor is going to do here. Um, that we have here, like on Warren Nolan, like kind of see where they think the Cajuns are going to be at, and that's fair. So let's uh let's look at everybody that is coming in on basketball for the Cajuns this season here, recruiting wise and everything else here. So let's look at team rankings here. Now, granted, it's going to be, let's see, where is Sunbelt? Let's see if I can expand that. There it is. Cool. I'm not talking like they'll probably make a run in NCAA tournament this year. The Cajuns have, okay, that's 26. I need 25, I think. So let's see. And the Cajuns are at the top of the 26 recruiting thing anyway. So they only have one commitment. So let's see. Trying to bring all this up here so y'all can kind of get this on thing here. But Jalen, what you think? Is that too big of a take, you think, for the Cajuns this season?
I think it's a great hot take. I think it definitely is a great hot take. I think I agree with you 100% when you say the Sun Belt is wide open. I also don't think James Madison is going to win it this year as they've been. I mean, James Madison has been great ever since he joined the Sun Belt, but overall, it's it's just so wide open this year, and I think the Cajuns really do have a great chance to win it. Now, I can't firmly say right now before the season that I think they're going to win the whole thing because I want to see if these guys are able to gel together, which I think they will. But I just want to see like through the first couple games, especially during Sunbelt play, like what's going to happen, but they definitely will be in the top three in the conference. I'm a bank that already. So, and that's just because of the great coach they have and the great players that they have coming in. So I think, yeah, I think the Cajuns men's basketball team is definitely a team to be reckoned with this year. And hey, we might say we tuned into the wrong sport, But hey, we can always make up for it because basketball season is here and it's down.
So the Cajuns were projected to finish ninth. Um,
That's too low.
where
That's really low.
Yeah, I mean, especially with this thing being as wide open as it is, it's
I
kind
didn't
of looks
like
like let's
that.
look at the yeah, let's look at the roster they have here. Jeremiah Evans, sophomore out of Shreveport, Zeke Cook, Todd Jones Jr., Dorian Finster, Darius Woodson, Joshua Lewis, Devion Laverne, she's from Melville, Louisiana, Mike Collins, Carius, Billy, I can't say his last name, Jackson o Overia, Michael Mouton, and Christian Landry. Jimion Keller, Logan Myers, Hiron Ratliff, Milan Miji, Sean Elkington, and then Ramon. I can't even say that last name. You got Qantas White and the rest of the coaching staff here.
And
So
those players, your
they're
names, some of those names were on the team last
yeah.
year.
Wait, what?
Some of those names, like when you look at like Jeremiah Evans was one of the
Yeah,
players from last year. He was a freshman, so
yeah. And they all have look like they all like they're pretty tall, all of them, which is what you need in this here. Michael Mouton's the home crowd favorite, and Logan Myers. They both Turlings and Lafayette, and I mean STM and stuff. So they're gonna be, the home people here. So I'm kind of wondering what the front five is gonna be here, because so in regards to recruiting for this team here, looking at it going ahead here, like Joshua Lewis is a four-star recruit out of Tampa, Florida. Uh, he's right there, 6'7", 185. I think they're gonna probably put him on the court probably this year. Mike Collins and Dejon Leatherman. I haven't seen them. I don't. They haven't. One committed in 1028. Overa Todd Jones was a three-star. Jamon Keller. These are transfers. They're two three-stars, but a lot of these guys are transfer in. So Carius Bila, yeah, he was from Vanderbilt last season. Keller was from Oklahoma State. Todd Jones was from Portland. So they have transfers that came in here. So that's immediate boost to your roster here. Um, just to see here. So so next season, Tyshawn Duncan's coming in for the Cajuns, and he's a four-star center. Like that's gonna be like okay. We're going to see how all that stuff shapes out there, because I think with this hire and everything else, I think the Cajuns win the Sun Belt, because I think the Sun Belt's just so weak this year that it'll be really hard for me to say, hey, I don't think this team has a chance. Just looking at what they got coming in, it's gonna be they're a young team. The Cajuns are. Fred, a lot of sophomores and freshmen across the board. I see one senior. I'm trying to see how many seniors they have on the roster. There's only one senior on this Cajun roster that I've seen so far. No, two. No, three. No, four. They got so the grad people are four. Okay, so you got four veteran level players. So probably a nice little balance in between there. So that you kind of got something there. So we'll see what happens here with this team here as we go
And
along.
Chief, I want to point out too, though, for those that don't know, one of the assistant coaches, Josh White, that's Kiwanis' younger brother, so he gets to have his younger brother on the staff with him too. So I mean, the Cajuns, they're going to have a great year. I mean, Kiwanis gets to have his brother on the staff. He gets to have his own team, first time as a head coach with these great players like you mentioned coming in. I mean, the Cajuns, they're going to have the momentum this year.
I think they got a lot of size if you look at their height and their everywhere. Height wise, they're gonna have a lot of length, and it looks like they're all. So what I saw was one of the reporters said that I don't like Kiwanis was quoted saying that I think they all could jump 20 feet, let's see. No, that was never mind. That wasn't different team. I'm thinking of a different quote from someone else. I apologize. Nope, that's not what he said. Not 20 feet. It was 20 inches, and that was when we did our LSU pod. That was the wrong one there.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm still like Delulu with everything going on. Uh, let's see here. So let's look at this predictor here real quick. I'm kind of curious to see where it lands at. Now, granted, everybody's got the number one strength of schedule and RPI because guess what? We haven't played a game yet this year. So as we look at the predictor here, this is where it's got the Cajuns lining up here. Let's see. Now, this predictor, I don't know where it gets its stuff from, but man, it has it out for the Cajuns this year. You ready for this one, Jalen?
Yeah, what is it?
So the overall record for the Raging in 2026, according to the Warren Nolan predictor on the preseason. This is why there's no data put into it because there's nothing there to put into it. It's only based on what you finished last year. So you would imagine it wouldn't be that great, which you're probably correct about that. So it's got the Cajuns finishing 7-21
Oh my God. Oh no.
and 5-11 in conference. 6-6
Oh,
at home, 1-15 on the road. Now,
one
look,
and 15 on the road.
it's not the Cajuns losing the Ball State. I disagree with that one. I think they're actually going to beat Ball State when they play them. Southeastern, it's got them winning it. I think they'll beat Southeastern. I actually think they'll even beat Tulane too. Tulane, like I think Tulane, and they got them losing to McNeese. But McNeese lost a lot of people to the transfer portal and with their head coach Will Wade. So I don't think the McNeese is going to beat the Cajuns this year. I hate to say it. Now Stanford, I think the Cajuns will drop the game to Stanford. I think
Yeah.
that's fair. I think that's one that you can kind of look at and be like, all right, I think they'll be four. I think they'll be 4-1 entering the at Santa Clara here, and they could very well win that one too. And at UC Davis, they got like a California run they got going through there. So, um, I think Santa Clara they might split the UC Davis with Santa Clara, probably 5-2 going out of there. Then you got Jackson State, Lamar, and UNCW. I think they'll win all three of those games here, and I think they'll be 8-2. But Jackson State's pretty good, and I think they beat the Cajuns last year actually. At Louisiana Tech and at Southern Miss, I think they'll actually take both those games. I think they'll win their conference opener. I think they'll be 10-2. UOM, I think they'll beat UOM. I got them 11-2. What you think, Jalen? I know I've been kind of just carrying away, picking. What you thinking?
No, seriously. That's great. Honestly, I don't see the Cajuns losing their first game until Stanford. I think I agree with you on that one. I think they'll beat Ball State, Southeastern, Tulane, McNeese. I see them losing to Stanford. Um, I think they'll lose to Santa Clara. But hey, I mean, back to back loss isn't the worst thing. But they could beat UC Davis, Jackson State, and then going into December where you got Lamar, UNC Wilmington, and Louisiana Tech, and then starting conference play against Southern Miss. Those are all looking like wins for me for Louisiana. So they're going to start off the season great.
Yeah, I'm just you're just kind of like looking at all these things through this here. Like, let's see what they got here. Where are we at? We had Southern Miss, UOM. Okay, Norfolk State. I think the Cajuns beat them. I think they might even beat South Alabama. Then I think they'll take the sweep against Southern Miss and UOM. I think they'll end up winning them twice. Troy. I think Cajuns beat Troy. Texas State, they might drop. They're gonna drop some Sun Belt games here, like two or three probably, somewhere down the road. I think they'll lose to Texas State. I'll give them a loss there. I think they'll beat South Al. I think they'll beat App State, Old Dominion. Could be a very sneaky good Sun Belt team. I think they will still beat them on the road. Georgia State, I think they'll beat them too. Georgia Southern, they might. That James Madison one is an interesting one because they only play each other that one time this season. So that one, it's I'm on the fence about just for preseason's sake. I think the Cajuns might actually go. It's on the road. I think the Cajuns might actually go over there and actually win this game here. Then they got the MAC and Sunbelt Challenge at the Cajun Dome. Don't know who they're gonna play yet in that one. It hasn't. It just has MAC and Sunbelt Challenge here. Then you got Coastal, Arkansas State. I think they could take both those games easily. I think they'll split Texas State. I think they'll win at Cajun Dome. Troy, I think they'll beat them on the road. Arkansas State, I think they'll beat them on the road. Going to the Sun Belt Conference Championship here. I know it's a big, bold statement that I think they're going to win the Sun Belt, but I really think they might have like, if we're going to give them three losses in the conference, that might be it. You know, you can maybe flip James Madison there, but I think at the end of the day, I think they might actually win the regular season Sun Belt Conference Championship game, and I think that's a very real possibility. I think the predictors got this 180 wrong. If you want to reflip that schedule here at 21-7, I could believe that one a little bit more. I think Stanford and UC Davis might end up like, or probably lose one of those two games there. Probably lose two in that on that California run, and then just kind of see where everybody's at here. And then the Sun Belt Conference tournament, you don't know where it's at, but I think the Cajuns ended up winning that tournament. What do you think, Jalen? How high is this Cajun men's basketball team getting this year?
They are going to go high, and I think look at the schedule. I mean, you look at it like right after a couple days after Christmas, the Cajuns they get a gift. I mean, starting with Norfolk State at home, then at home against South Al, then at home against Southern Miss, then ULM, then Troy. 5 straight home games all the way until mid-January. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. And I definitely see all those as wins for the Cajuns. They have so much momentum going into that road test against Texas State. I think they'll drop that one against Texas State because I just feel like going on the road at that point is going to be a real test, and then they go on the road after that. South Al, App State, Old Dominion. I think all three of those definitely be wins. Georgia State, Georgia Southern after that, that'll be a win. That James Madison game, that'll I think they'll see James Madison for sure in the championship game of the Sun Belt tournament. Um, but I think in this match, I think the Cajuns can win this one. Win against Coastal. I do see them drop. I don't know if it's going to be against Arkansas State at home or on the road against Troy, but I do see them. I see them at least losing altogether uh at least 3 to 4 conference games. I think I'm right up there with you, Chief, when I look at the schedule. But I think the Sun Belt will be closer than we think. JMU still always been pretty good. I think Texas State gonna be a team to reckon with. So it's gonna be a close one. The Cajuns are gonna be right there though.
Yeah, it's gonna be like I don't think anybody really knows too much, right? We're all trying to figure out like, okay, what happened with this schedule here? Like this is kind of crazy to think about here too much, a lot basically. So, what are we going to see happen here? I think the Cajuns, what like a couple of good things I like to see is it looks like they got a lot of length on this team here. I think they're gonna be able to get a lot of offensive rebounds and be able to put putbacks on the board. And I think that's gonna be a big difference on this Raging Cajun men's basketball team here compared to like, other situations that they've been in and stuff. So that's gonna be kind of something that we're gonna have to see as we go through this season here. But look, I think the floor, if I'm saying it here, worst case scenario, Cajuns drop 8 or 9 games overall. I think that's kind of like the floor. I think they're gonna have the rest of them is gonna probably wins in the regular season here. I know it seems like it's really high for a first year head coach, but they brought in a lot of talent in this transfer portal from conferences that are really good at basketball. Like you look at Oklahoma State, you look at Vanderbilt. They're not gonna bring in any shrubs here pretty much here in basketball here. And the Sun Belt's like more toward the bottom of this like Division 1 basketball tournament conferences. So I mean, I just don't see. I just think everybody was excited about the wrong sport. I think that's the thing. I think whoever made the predictions in these polls or whatever got it wrong, and that's okay. Look, he's an assistant. He was an assistant at one of the top programs in the country at Houston, who ended up getting on a deep run in the NCAA tournament. Like they were literally in the national championship game, just could not finish the deal there at Houston. But look, I think it's going to be a really good thing to see. What do you think, Jalen?
Oh, it's definitely going to be great to see Chief. And you know, one thing about Kiwanis is being under Coach Kelvin Sampson at Houston. Like you mentioned, Houston has been making it deep in the NCAA tournament for the last couple of years. He's been on that staff, and for them to make it to the championship game and him being one of the coaches, if I'm the Raging Cajuns fan base right now, as a fan myself, I'm definitely excited for this season. I mean, and then I think a lot of guys are going to get in the rotation for this Cajuns team. I think Quantas is going to play a lot of guys. A lot of guys have length. A lot of these guys have skill, and like I said, if he able to get them to gel together and just put it all together and they play great basketball. Is watch out for the Louisiana Raging Cajuns.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the way that I think that's how I see it falling here to see how it's gonna go there. So, we talking about the man. Let's talk about the women here. Let's look at their schedule here. Now, they had a lot of experience last year and they lost a lot. Don't really know too much about the women's basketball team. It doesn't look like it's gonna be. You typically in a Gary Brawlhead era are going to be probably somewhere in the middle here, trying to see what's going to happen here with the Raging Cage women's basketball team here. They start off with against LSUA or Alexandria, if you want me to just kind of say that here. It's a four-year college in Alexandria, Louisiana. It's an expedition game, and then they play Mississippi College after that. They'll probably win both those games here. I don't see them dropping those here. I do see them dropping against Bowling Green. I think they'll beat Delta State right after that. Then you got Texas. They'll drop Texas. Nichols. They'll beat Nichols and they'll drop Memphis, I think, here. So I'm not as high on the women's basketball team. Just going off of what I have right here. I'm kind of interested in what the predictor is going to say about all this because the predictor was really harsh to the men. So I know it's got a little bit more data on the women's basketball team here, where they finished in the mid part of the conference, I think last year, if I remember right. Um,
Yeah, right in the middle.
yeah, so it's like what you're gonna have, right? Oh, the predictor has not, Warren Nolan has not been updated since last year, where the Cajuns finished 12 and 16. Okay, I thought the site would have been updated by then on the women's basketball side of things, but kudos to them for I guess having they went 99 Sun Belt last year. Do I see a similar path? I think they might actually end up doing a little bit worse than that this year, just because they have a lot of younger players coming in board here. And it's gonna be tough, no matter how you look at it here. This isn't an indictment on them or anything. I just don't think they're gonna have the experience needed to pull this off here. They got Sierra Jones, a graduate, Kathleen Norris. I'm trying to see how many women they have over 6 feet. They have one, two, you see 5'9", 5'8". There's only two players on this team that's over 6 feet tall. I mean, 6 feet or above. And I don't think they have the size with them to get the rebounds that they need. What you think, Jalen?
Yeah, and when I think about the last time the Cajuns team like really was great is when they had like players like Ty Doucette and Brandy Williams. You know, when she was able to play. I know she injured, had a lot of knee issues. But this team, I think it's just a newer squad for Coach Broadhead. I think going into this year for him, honestly, I don't I don't see a lot of expectations for the women's team, but I think they can get above them. And Steve, that's a great point. Looking at the girl and see like who's over 6 feet, trying to see who has the height and who can, just lead the team. I see like Lily Bob, like she's right there at 6'3". So she looks like what the tallest player so far that I'm looking.
She's the tallest on the team on. Yeah, she's
So
the
she,
tallest player on the team. So
yeah, so definitely. I just got to see who's not because we don't have like that one name from the women's team that we had in recent years. It's like she is going to take over and be the leader. But that can also be a good thing too, though, because I mean everybody has a role to play. Everybody plays their role. The team can still be successful, so that's not a bad thing.
yeah, you got High Point then Fresno State right after that. I think they'll lose to Fresno State and beat High Point. So it's gonna be like 6-4 for me going to the education game against East Texas A&M. They'll win. They'll beat them 7-4. Morehead State, they'll beat them 8-4. Texas State, I got them dropping that one and dropping Southern Miss, so 8-6. Dillard, I think they'll beat Dillard. They'll be 9-6. They'll probably beat Troy and South Alabama. So give me 11-6 here. UOM, I think they'll beat them 12-6. Texas State, I think Texas State's a little bit too much for the Cajuns this year in this women's basketball in my opinion here of what like but it changes so much with these teams here because year to year like there's no grace period anymore. You got the transfer portal, you can work this stuff out here. I know Arkansas years last year, but usually when you have a good year, you get rated a little bit here. James Madison went a perfect 18-0 last year, so it's kind of like, all right, what you gonna do here? I think Texas State's gonna be building something because they're going to the Pac-12, so that probably is gonna benefit them in women's basketball probably a little bit more. So Arkansas State, they'll probably end up splitting that series with Arkansas State. I think they'll beat UOM. Got them going to Coastal. I got them losing like 8 or 9 games so far. Coastal, I think they'll beat Coastal. App State, I think they'll beat App State. I think they'll lose to James Madison. That's their 10th loss. Marshall, uh, let's see, Marshall. I think they'll beat Marshall. Old Dominion. I got them actually winning against Old Dominion. I think they'll probably end up splitting that series here against them. So yeah, and they got the MAC and Sunbelt Challenge. Don't know what that is, but I think the MAC is a little bit better conference in women than the Sunbelt is. So give me a that'll be 11th loss. Troy, I think they'll beat. It's on the road. I got them losing to Troy. That's 12. South Alabama, I think they'll beat them. Southern Miss, I think they'll beat them too. Arkansas State could very well like they could split that series with Arkansas State here. Georgia State. So I got them. I'll give them a loss to Arkansas State and that would have win against Georgia State to close the season. So I got 13 losses on the docket. Jalen, is that a little too rough for this Cajun women's basketball team or what?
I wouldn't say right now it's too rough. If you look at the team, they lost 16 in total last year, and that included nine conference, went 9-9 in conference. So it's not bad, but I wouldn't say it's good yet. But it's just right now. You know, we still have to see how this team is going to play because, like you said, I mean, this is a kind of a brand new team that Coach Brockhead has. So I still think they'll be able to get over the middle of the pack. I still think JMU is going to be hard to beat because it's hard for me to go against a team that went 18-0 in the Sun Belt a year ago. Like it's just hard for me to pick against them. And Arkansas State, who's right up there too, who only lost a few games. But I think besides JMU and Arkansas State, I think everything else is kind of up for grabs, and the Cajuns can definitely be in that top five, probably even top four. It depends on how they play well this season. But 13 losses isn't bad. Definitely isn't bad at all. To say the least.
All right. Well, we kind of went through this thing real fast to kind of like get y'all a little bit more information you didn't know here too much here, and just kind of give you a little bit of insight going on to men's basketball and women's basketball seasons as we go through all those that stuff here. So keep it tuned in here to Fishbowl Sports. I'm gonna see you here next time here on Fishbowl Sports. Have a good night, Cajun Nation and the Fishbowl Nation. Have a good night, y'all.